Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of In the Prog Seat. It's Tuesday night. We're talking prog. We got a big crew here for you today. The topic is all about our favorite cover songs done by prog bands. So that's right, a prog band doing a cover version of maybe another prog song or a pop song or a metal song or a folk song, whatever. It could be a studio, could be live, wherever we've heard it. So we've all kind of picked out some favorites of ours, and let's introduce everybody, shall we? I'm going to start with the top today. So all the way from Scotland, Stephen, I haven't seen you in so long. Stephen Reed. From Chicago, Illinois, George Lemie. Also from Chicago, Illinois, Louis Nasser. We've got the professor of prog, owner, proprietor of the Laser's Edge and Sensory Records, Mr. Ken Golden. We've got from New York City, Chuck Alvarez. From Pennsylvania, the father of Nearfest, Chad Hutchinson. Also from upstate, all the way upstate New York, near our nation's capital, we've got Eric Porter. Not nation's capital, state capital, I should say, not nation's capital. Sorry, let me correct myself here. I know I got the olds, but I do tend to say some pretty screwy things from time to time. Also from Pennsylvania, we've got Anthony Ferraro. And from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, John, did I say that right? John Newdorf.
Yep. Saskatchewan.
Okay, I always kind of say that wrong. It's always fun when I'm sending CDs to John to review on the website. I'm always trying to spell all that stuff, and I'm like, oh, I get it wrong.
Crazy.
Yeah. All right, so what we're going to do is we've all got like a whole myriad of songs here we're going to talk about today, and so what we're going to do is each person is going to go and name two picks. Then we'll move on to the next person. So we'll probably go three quick trips round we go. So we're going to go in the same order that we just announced everybody. So it'll be Stephen, George, Louis, Ken, Chuck, Chad, Eric, Anthony, John, and myself, and then we'll work our way back around again. So Mr. Reed is going to kick us off today.
Well, seeing as I'm going first, I shall choose a nice obvious one. Is where I'll go, and I'll stick my neck out and say this is the best drum intro that anyone will choose all night. It goes it's Fanfare for the Common Man, ELP, originally by Aaron Copland, and it's just stonkingly good, isn't it? It's just fantastic. I mean, ELP, I would guess, might come up again at some point, I would guess, through the show. But yeah, it's an absolute beast, and I absolutely love it. And it's perfection is what it is. My second choice is kind of the opposite end of the scale, really. It's Opeth covering Soldier of Fortune, originally by Deep Purple. It's not the proggiest cover in the world, and Opeth are not always the proggiest of bands, but it's bloody good. I mean, that's quite faithful. Doesn't really do a huge amount that the Purple version doesn't already do. But Michael Ackerfeld's just got such a good voice, and it's absolutely perfect for it. And I've listened to it thousands of times. It's such a great version of an already great song. Might be one of my favourite Purple songs of all time. So that's my first two choices.
Nice. Forgot all about that. That's a great one. Awesome.
Great.
Awesome. All right, George.
My first two are both covers of 70s fusion stuff, actually. One is a band called Faz Jazz, covering a song I know Chuck loves, Elegant People, Weather Report.
Wayne Shorter.
Yeah, Wayne Shorter tune. Slightly changed. There's no sax. It's electric guitar instead. So it's just higher energy. They don't jump the tempo or anything, but they just accent certain things like harmonies and stuff, and the soloing's a lot more aggressive. The other one is bass player called Yorgos Fakanis. He does a Herbie Hancock tune called Chameleon. This is Chameleon on crack. I mean, I don't know what the tempo jump is, but it's pretty extreme. It's almost unrecognizable. It's so fast. You got Dennis Chambers going crazy on it. So it's quite a ride. But if you like faithful covers, not the one you're going to want. It's more off the rails.
George, could you pick anything more commercial than those two? Like, I mean, it was so obvious. I mean, you know, we all just said, nah, come on.
Yeah, George took my pick, right?
I couldn't even spell those.
I'm sure they're incredible though. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I guess maybe and something we probably should point out during our picks today. It's like, how faithful are some of these to the original, or they do something really different with it. So in some cases you want it to be faithful. In other cases you want it to be a little more unique, right? So cool. All right, Lewis, you're on mute, buddy.
Sorry.
Lois,
you're on mute. I don't have a record to show, but it's a band that was in Baltimore for many years. It's called the Dark Water Transit. Mike Potter knows exactly who I'm talking about if he's watching. And they did a cover of they put out a record on cassette of Goblin, and they would play it live. The Zombie and all those tunes. I gotta tell you, Zombie done by Dark Water Transit. I know this is heretical, but it's actually better than the original. Wow. Those guys owned it and destroyed it. So I have to say, if you guys can rustle up a copy of Dark Water Transit playing Zombie by Goblin, you should. It's absolutely great. And my second choice, good luck though, because these guys broke up years ago, and but I'm sure Ken has everything they ever did somewhere in that sitting behind him. But my second choice for tonight is I don't know how many people have a copy of this record, but if you're a Mellotron aficionado, I think that you owe it to yourselves to try to get one. The band is Mort Macabre.
Oh, nice.
And these guys have a Fabio Frizzi cover here, Apoteosi de Misterio. I highly recommend it. Very, very, very good stuff.
Yep, I agree.
You can't get that disc anymore. That and the vinyl, they're long gone.
Wow.
They're a great album.
Hey, Ken, you know who I bought that from? You know who I bought that from, Ken?
Who, me?
Yes.
Thank you.
Many years ago.
Yeah. I haven't actually seen copies, and I was stupid because I didn't keep a copy of the vinyl for myself. The vinyl's gone for like hundreds of dollars.
Wow.
Yeah, that's one of the greatest creepy Mellotron albums of all time.
Yeah, they did a great job with that.
Yeah.
I love this record so much. This is never leaving my collection.
I pull that out for Halloween.
Yep. Okay. Bye-bye.
John's making his secret agent calls while we.
He's ordered a copy of the CD.
Hello, Saskatoon Police.
My wife just phoned me. Crazy. So I'm up. Was it Pete? Am I up? Sorry.
Not yet, John. We got Ken. So Ken is up next.
My internet.
So I'm going in two different directions. So I'm going to start with
weird stuff. Hopefully.
my bottom pick. What am I hearing? Okay, I'm going to start with my bottom pick, and that's King Crimson Heroes. They didn't do it live. They did it live. They didn't do it in the studio, and they actually kind of play it close to the vest, close to the original. I mean, the thing is to hear Fripp doing his solo, and they do a very, very good job with it. Kind of like the original. They didn't screw around with it too much, and I don't have any problem with it. So for my second pick, I'm going to take you all into the Bizarro world.
Uh-oh.
And what we're going to do is we're going to go for my number one pick, because it's the Bizarro world. I'm going to work my way backwards. And instead of doing prog bands doing covers, I'm going to do non-prog bands covering prog bands. My number one pick from the Bizarro world, I don't have a prompt for it, is Iron Maiden covering King of Twilight from Nectar.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Love that.
The cool thing about it is it's a great version. It sounds like Iron Maiden.
Yep.
But they don't like decimate the song or anything. They're faithful to the song, but they interpret it in a way that it's instantly recognizable as Iron Maiden. So that's my number one pick from the Bizarro world, and my number 5 pick from the prog rock world. King Crimson.
Nice. Chuck.
All right. I'm gonna go a little crazy here myself. First one is from the 60s psychedelic prog band, The Move. Their version of Rock and Roll Star, originally done by the Byrds. They basically just turned that song into a killer track. I like their version better than the Byrds version. And then I'm also going to talk about Joseph Zawinul's Directions, that he originally wrote for Miles Davis, but I love the Weather Report version just as much, if not better. So those are my two songs: Rock and Roll. Do you want to be a rock and roll star? The Move and Directions from Weather Report.
Nice.
Those are my picks. Those are my covers.
Very cool. Chad.
Okay. Well, my first pick is going to be from Kevin Gilbert, sort of on the edge of the prog scene. And his cover version is of Led Zeppelin's Kashmir.
You suck, Chad. You suck.
Sorry, Eric. Yeah, so this was actually on a bonus single that came with the Thud album. It's actually stuck to the front of the jewel case. And this version was supposed to go on a Led Zeppelin cover album.
Been right back.
I forget what the one was called. It was in the mid '90s, but obviously got rejected. But this is a nice interpretation of Kashmir. It's a lot shorter. It has like a nice acoustic first verse, and then it kicks in and has like kind of a steady, heavy rock beat. And it's just solid. It gets your blood pumping. So that's my number one. My number two from this round is Kansas and their version of Eleanor Rigby from the Always Never the Same album with the orchestra. And when I first got this album and saw it was on here, I'm like, why are they doing a cover song? They have so many great songs in their catalog. What are they doing? Then I heard it. I'm like, damn, that's pretty good. So yeah, quite solid. Kansas, Eleanor Rigby.
I forgot all about that. I was looking at my Kansas CDs and I'm like, didn't Kansas do a cover song at one point? And I couldn't think of any, and I completely forgot about that one. Yeah, cool. Ken hated your pick so much he had to leave the room.
My wife went out, and my dog is upstairs, and he's freaking out. So I just gave him a treat. Hopefully he'll shut up in 5 minutes. So, I don't know if he was bleeding through, but he was making me insane. So, what did I miss?
You missed, Chad, you want to reiterate?
Kevin Gilbert.
Sure. Kevin Gilbert's Kashmir.
Right.
And Kansas, Eleanor Rigby.
Oh, you ruined my whole night.
I'm sure I did.
All right, Eric, what do you got?
Well, Chad, you ruined mine because I was going to start with Kevin Gilbert, but luckily I've got another Kevin Gilbert from this one back in New York City. That's a Genesis cover. And it is a little different. Starts off kind of what Chad was saying with Kashmir. It's an acoustic intro, very melancholy, and then builds up. And it does kind of turn into fairly similar to what Genesis did as the songs kicks in, but it's a great cover. It's probably my favorite on that disc.
I would agree.
But what I will say is Kevin also had an association. So even though I was going to do a double shot, he had an association with Spock's Beard. So I am going to do Beware of Darkness from Spock's Beard.
You just got me back, Eric. That was my number one.
All right.
You got me
to
back.
go.
Yeah.
Well, I had the Kevin Gilbert double shot, so I had to throw that in there. So
I got Heroes and Beware of Darkness is off my.
Yep, I got to take that one out.
And this one, I think really they made it their own. As much as I love the George Harrison version,
that version.
They each stand out. They're great. And it's hard to say one tops the other because they're completely unique. George's is great. Spock's Beard did an amazing job with that. So
when I got that album, I had no idea it was a cover song for years.
I
looked at the liner notes one day. I was like, "What? Really?" And then I looked up the original, and like you said, the original was great too.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Is it heresy to say that Spock's version might even be better?
No.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, they're both great, but I mean, Spock's one is really good.
Yeah.
No, Anthony?
No.
Eddie Johnson's not on it.
You can see why I'm not on much anymore.
Oh, oh,
Oh,
that was painful.
so
All right, Mr. Poopy Pants, you're up next.
I'm gonna go with one that you schmoes missed. Yes's cover of America by Paul Simon and Garfunkel. It's fantastic. Squire,
That's one now too.
Squire
Great song.
and Anderson. What can I say? It's fantastic. And then my second one is gonna be I'm gonna go with Hawkwind's version of Pink Floyd's Cymbeline off their first album back in 1970. It's pretty close to the original, but Hawkwind brings that spacey flavor to it. So Hawkwind, Cymbeline, and Yes is America.
Cool.
Nice.
Does anybody?
Ken, aren't you proud of me of the Hawkwind?
That's very cool.
Yeah, that was pretty good. No, that was pretty good for
I
you,
thought
Anthony.
so.
That was pretty good.
I was hoping.
So even
You know,
without
yes,
the-
America.
even
Yes,
without the
America.
yellow hoodie. Even without
Yes,
the yellow
America
hoodie,
is low hanging fruit.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
well, nobody else picked it, so I figure I might as well.
Well, everybody had Yes, America. They just haven't gotten to it yet.
That's
Well,
right.
they're not as cool as me. So.
I'm crossing it off my list.
All right. It wasn't even on your list.
It was actually, but I got a million replacements, so it's cool.
There you go. Ding. All right, John, what do you got?
Okay, well, that wasn't on my list, yes, America, but I'm gonna go with Dream Theater, the Change of Seasons album. And I'm going to go with, for the two songs, I'm gonna go with, Meridian on keyboards and piano sounds awesome. And they keep it pretty close to the vest as well, but they just effortlessly go through the changes on that song a lot, and it's a live track. It's just a great job on that. And then I'm gonna stick with the same album, and I'm gonna go with Deep Purple's Perfect Strangers on that album.
The
John,
suspense is killing me.
Yeah, John, your connection keeps freezing, so we didn't even hear your first pick.
I love how the Breeze sings this song. He adds.
Oh boy.
Hello.
he's caught in a time warp.
Yeah.
He's very pensive.
He's
We could all do that pose.
John, I don't know if you can hear us, but you keep freezing. We haven't heard any of this.
I think I think I know what he said. I think he picked Perfect Strangers, the Dream Theater cover.
Okay.
And the previous one was it was also from that record, from Change of Seasons.
I think it was the Prog medley that was on there. I don't think he picked the Zeppelin medley.
Ben Elton John.
So the Elton John.
Oh yeah, there's that too.
He's back.
So John, I don't know if you can hear us, but you've been constantly freezing. We
Sorry,
didn't
well,
even
did
get
you
to-
guys hear any of that?
No.
Oh, darn. Yeah.
Your,
Did
your
you hear-
connection's
you
your
didn't hear
connection's
any of
really
it?
bad. We're getting like feedback. and
terrible
you're
tonight.
freezing. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that.
You want to try
Um,
maybe hop out and come back in?
Maybe I'll do that and we'll see what happens.
Okay,
Okay, I'll be back in a sec.
you got it. Technology, you gotta love it. It happens, eh? It happens to
You
all
can
of us.
fix that in post, right, Pete?
What's that?
You can fix that in post.
I could if I wanted to, but I might get a laugh at it. I don't know.
He'll animate it.
It happens. Yeah. All right, so I'll throw my picks out here. So I've lost a couple already. So let's see. I'm going to go with this one. Really cool. Glass Hammer, Longer by Dan Fogelberg,
Oh, beautiful.
and it's
Mm.
almost like unrecognizable because it's like the Fogelberg version is just this cool kind of folk track. But this is like big and epic and symphonic and bombastic, and it's just really, really cool. So that's off the Shadowlands album. So that's my first pick. And my second one, kind of, I guess, low hanging fruit, but Jethro Tull Boré, which is an old Johann Sebastian Bach favorite, right?
Well, my choice is gone.
Sorry, Steve.
Fantastic.
Me too.
Pete, fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's such a great song.
I hear John's coming back. Let's see if we get him on here. So while John is getting set up again, we'll circle back with him in a sec. So Stephen, you want to give your next picks?
Yeah, well, you've just stole my next choice. So instead, I will go for, I have this here. This is The Nostalgia Factory by John Mitchell from It Bites, an Arena, Lonely Robot. And this is just a covers EP. So there's 4 tracks on it. The title track, The Nostalgia Factory, is the one I'm going to go for. It's an early Porcupine Tree song. And he really just turns it into a John Mitchell song. It's quite different from the original. It is recognisable, but he really does a good number on it, it has to be said. The other things, if you're interested on here.
Stephen, hold on one second. Could everybody put yourselves on mute when you're not talking? Because there's some weird feedback going on here. I'm not sure.
It
what
sounds like CB radio or something.
Yeah, it's what it sounds like. Yeah. So does anybody got like TV going on in the background or something happening? Like, no? Or everybody put yourself on mute unless you're talking, and we'll see if it goes away. All right, Stephen, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's all right, no problem. So the other things that are on here, which are worth a mention, because this seemed to go really under the radar from a guy that's got quite a high profile. He does a version of C'est La Vie by ELP. Take Me Home, the Phil Collins song, which he really reworks and actually it sounds like an early Porcupine Tree meets Phil Collins song, the way that he does it, which is really interesting. And It Won't Be Easy, which is a Justin Hayward song. But my choice of it is The Nostalgia Factory. So my 4th choice is by Enchant. And it was for one of these tribute CDs that did the round. I don't actually have the CD, but I just continually go back and listen to their version of Yes's Changes, which I absolutely adore. I like the original. I love the Enchant version because they turn a classic prog rock song into a kind of prog rock, prog metal crossover. And it's instantly recognisable. They don't really muck about with it too much. And yet it sounds like one of their songs at the same time. So it's another of those ones that YouTube gets a constant hit from me on that. I just go back to it and circle back and circle back and circle back. It's a great version of a great song.
They do a good version of Man of Our Times as well on the Genesis.
They do, yeah.
Excellent. All right, let's circle back to John. So John, you missed from me. I did Boré from Jethro Tull and Longer by Glass Hammer, the old Dan Fogelberg song. So why don't you circle back to your 2 picks again?
I'm gonna circle back. For my first 2, I'm gonna go with the Dream Theater album, Change of Seasons, and I'm gonna pick. There's some live tracks after that, the first epic song. And my first pick was gonna be Funeral for a Friend, Love Lies Bleeding, the Elton John tune. I just think Labrie sounds great on that song. I might lose the internet again, guys. Sorry. The whole band is on fire on all of those tracks. And then the second one, I'll just go with the same album. The next song on it is Deep Purple's Perfect Strangers. I love the Hammond organ on it from Sherinian. And I think, again, Labrie really puts in a great performance on that one. I mean, they don't change it too much, but it's a great song originally, and they do just a great job of it. So those are my 2 picks.
Cool. Yeah, there's even a few more on there. Yep. So
Yeah,
cool.
that whole EP is fun.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard it in a while, and I just kind of thought of that one, and then I forgot how great they were.
Yeah, they do some great covers. They do. You might hear more later, right?
For sure.
Yeah. Cool. All right, George.
My first one is from Marco Miniman. Before he got here, 1998, he was in a band in Germany called Illegal Aliens, experimental prog band, with Peter Wolpel, a guitar player who used to play with Cobham. They did a Queen cover, Dead on Time, which is a fairly off the beaten track Queen tune. Probably
Off jazz.
Yeah, maybe their wildest tune, and they make it even a little wilder. There's Marco does a track of vibes on it. The singer sounds like he's out of control. Really good voice. I don't know the guy's name. I actually don't own the album because the rest of the album I didn't care for. That's a real extremely good, probably the closest thing to the original that I got tonight. And my other one would be the Japanese piano player Hiromi. She did a covers album, and she did Duke Ellington's Caravan. Very, very, very good version with Dave Fushinsky playing fretless guitar. Nothing like the original, but very cool, energetic version that I highly recommend.
Nice. Yeah, Fushinsky, he's a seriously good player. You don't hear enough about him anymore.
No.
Yeah. All right, Lewis. You're on mute.
I'm sorry, I have to mute my
College professor.
You've
college
raised
professor.
the level of complexity for this fucking engagement. All right. So this is a Chicago band. I've known these guys for a long time. We've played many shows together. The band is called Zip Tang. And in this record, which was released 2007, they recorded a really great version of Tarkus. So I would highly recommend that if you've never heard it. Marcus Paget, who's the main guy who used to do a lot of these arrangements, he has a really good way of taking a cover and changing it and making it his own. He did a very 12/8 version of War Pigs, very jazzy also, but we're doing prog, so we're going to talk about Tarkus. This is from an album called Luminiferous Ether, Zip Tang. Also, if you've never heard of Zip Tang, well, get on Bandcamp and get on it. All right. And then, of course, I'm going to go to a much more commercially available and successful recording by none other than Jordan Rudess. You may all be familiar with this particular album. And I am going to pick from this album, Sound Chaser. For the simple fact, and this goes out to Rich Catino, who gets a lot of shit from people, myself included, with his winger and all that stuff. Kip Winger does a great job singing this, and he's got help from Nick DiVirgilio. And best of all, there's no John Anderson. Of course, you also have Rod Morgenstein, who is a phenomenal drummer. And therefore, you know what? The original kicks ass. It's so good that not even John Anderson can ruin it. But this one is even better. So I'm going to choose Jordan Rudess's cover of Sound Chaser for my number 4.
Good choice, Luis.
Great choice.
I'm surprised you didn't pick the other Kip Winger song on there.
Oh, no. I mean, we have to leave some things for the peanut gallery, but this is a great
Because the other Kip Winger song's really good too.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Don't you agree, Louise?
How do you know I wasn't going to pick Winger? Kip Winger.
Because we know better.
He's good. I like Kip Winger.
Yeah, yes, yeah. All right, Ken.
All right. So for my number 4, I got Steve Hillage on L. There's a great cover of the Beatles. It's All Too Much from Yellow Submarine. And he basically, he Hillages it up. This was Todd Rundgren produced this album. And this may actually be my favorite Steve Hillage album. Don't tell me.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's
a good one.
He's got Don Cherry playing on it. He's got the Utopia guys on there, of course, and you got that hurdy-gurdy playing on it. It's great. Also, he does hurdy-gurdy, man. The Donovan tune. But
Hey, you only get one per band there, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. I fucked up. So for this album, I picked It's All Too Much. And from the Bizarro world, my number 2, from his Inspiration album, Yngwie Malmsteen, In the Dead of Night. With Mark Bowles on vocals.
Good one.
Yep.
So
Yeah, good one.
Yeah. So it's clearly Yngwie, but he plays it relatively close, to the original, but he does his thing on it. So those are my 2 picks, and I might disappear again for a moment to make sure my dog is still alive.
Okay.
So, because he's not barking. So if he's not barking now, I got to worry. So I'll be right back. This is for last time.
Chuck,
All right. My number 2 picks. What's the first one is Crack the Sky. You know, they did a nice, faithful version of the Beatles' I Am the Walrus, and they tend to play that quite a bit, you know, and they also do quite a great job on it. And then my second one is yes, forgive me, Senor Lewis, from their first album, the Birds cover, I See You. I like that version. Salud. So those are my 2 picks right there for my second round, which is I See You, a Birds cover done by Yes on their first album. And the second one is Crack the Sky covering the Beatles' I Am the Walrus.
nice. And for everybody watching, we will have everybody's picks down in the comments below. So fear not, you'll have instant access to these after the show airs. So Chad, back to you. You're on mute.
This rule sucks, Pete. So my next pick, even because a lot of stuff's been stolen, I have a pile here of leftovers, I'll call them. Dream Theater from Black Clouds and Silver Linings. The bonus disc is called Uncovered, and they do a great version of Lark's Tongues and Aspic Part 2. An original metal song from King Crimson, given the true metal treatment by one of the best. Yes, very solid, real nice version. And my second pick for this round, and Steven, this is for you. I'm going Marillion, Sympathy, an old Rare Bird song. It's pretty loyal to the original, but with a lot more emotion, especially with having Steve Hogarth singing it. So Sympathy, Marillion.
It's loyal, but much better.
Yes, agreed.
Yep. Like that a lot.
I've never heard the original version, the Rarebird version, so I don't even know.
It's okay.
It's a somber version, but Marillion did a great job with it. I also love Marguerite's guitar on it.
Cool. All right, Eric.
All right, I'm going to do a double shot, which I planned the first time around, but I'll do it this time. And it's going to be California Guitar Trio with Tony Levin and Pat Mastelotto. And they do a cover of Dance with Maya from Mahavishnu and Heart of the Sunrise from Yes. Both awesome. I love guitar. I love when Levin and Mastelotto got together with them, just fantastic. Great versions. Great guitar players. If you're into acoustic music, but obviously this gets driven with Pat and Tony playing with them, check it out. It's really, they do a ton of stuff. I think there's a few other covers on here as well, but really a great disc.
That Zunduku Bushi that's on there, which is a combination of a Japanese folk song and King Crimson's Vroom and In the Court of the Crimson King, is it? Or is it it's Schizoid Man?
Schizoid Man, yes.
That's a great version.
There, we got our little kazoo guy talking again. I'm not sure where it's coming from. I don't know. We haven't had this in quite a while, so it's coming from somewhere. Anyway, all right, cool. Thanks, Eric. Anthony, back to you.
Oh, that was better.
All right. Let's see here. I'm going to go with my next 2. I'm going to go with David Bowie off his Pinups album, which was pretty much a whole covers album where he does Pink Floyd's See Emily Play. He was a huge fan of Barrett. He does it justice. It's so good. Most Pink Floyd fans will really dig it. And then my other one is I'm going to go kind of from like a left field one. I don't know if you guys are heard or fans of Ben Harper, but his Strawberry Fields Forever cover is utterly sublime. It's fantastic. He made it his own. It's so good. So I'm going with Ben Harper, Strawberry Fields Forever, and David Bowie, See Emily Play.
Cool. Yeah, I forgot he covered Floyd on that album. Nice. All right, John, back to you.
Okay, for this one, I'm going to go with the Rush Feedback album. live album. And it was released as a kind of commemorating their self-titled debut, right? And so it was released in 2000, I think it was 2004, something like that. And I'm gonna actually pick a couple. I'm gonna pick, they do a couple of Who tunes, but my favorite that they do is The Seeker of the Who songs. I just love it. Lifeson is on fire on this whole album, actually. And I kind of think it gets a little bit underrated. All 8 songs are great. And then I'm going to pick another one from that album. It's actually my favorite on the album, and it's Robert Johnson's Crossroads. And there's been so many versions of this song, but this is one of my favorites. And again, Lifeson is amazing on this song live. It's just a great song, and you can just feel the energy. You know, they took all these songs that they were influenced by when they were just starting out. So songs from the 60s. And I think at their core, they are just a hard rock kick-ass trio. That's how they started. And then they kind of went proggy. But, at the beginning, they were really, a classic rock band, and they do those songs great. So those are my 2 this round.
Cool. All right. My final 3 before we get to honorables. I'm amazed nobody picked this one, but I'm kind of glad because everything else got taken. So how about Blinded by the Light by Man from Man's Earth Band? Originally a Bruce Springsteen song. Way better than the original version, in my opinion. And I think the Springsteen version is okay for what it is. It's more of a folk song, but man,
Black.
Awesome, right? I mean, just tremendous cover. That's the definition of a cover done really well, where you just kind of transform it into your own, right? Yeah. So, and a huge hit for the band too. And my last choice here is, I had a few from this band. I may talk about some others when we go into honorables, but I think this particular one from their first album is really, really great. Procol Harum's In Hell 'Twasn't I from Transatlantic, from the debut. Did you have that one in your list there, Eric? Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's tremendous. Really, really good. And I love the fact that someone finally decided to take like a kind of a more obscure Procol Harum gem and give it new life, like all those years later. So if I remember correctly, Chad, they played that at Nearfest, did they not?
Wow. I'm not sure if they played that or not.
They had to, right? Because I mean, they played this whole album, I thought. Because they didn't have anything
they
else.
did a bunch of cover songs too, and they did a medley and things like that. So
Yeah.
You got to get LaDuca on the show. I mean, if you want to know.
I will say, Rob remembers a lot of shit that I don't. So there's that.
Yes, I hear you. All right. So now that we got that out of the way, I'm sure everybody's got some honorable mentions they just want to rattle off. So we'll start back at the beginning. Stephen, you got any that you haven't already been picked today that you got sitting on your list?
We only did 2 rounds.
I've only done 2 rounds, Peter.
We only did 2 rounds, yeah.
Really?
One more round.
One more round.
Yeah, we've just stolen all the rest of your choices.
Maybe that's why. Okay. Oh, that's why. Okay. Yep. You are correct. All right. Go back around.
Okay, so my 5 and 6, I have gone for America again, but a different song. So it's the Nice doing the Leonard Bernstein version. There you go, from Na 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 America. I just think that's fantastic. I mean, Emerson's just bonkers on that. It's utter madness in all the best kind of ways. It should make no sense whatsoever, and it makes all the sense. And for my final choice, I am going to IQ, and it's a live album, Frequency Tour CD is what it is, and they do a version of Jet by Wings, and they do it in a very IQ kind of way, and it is absolutely fantastic. It's a great song anyway, but they do something completely different with it that I just really like, and it's just not what you would expect. I didn't expect it from them anyway. It's really good. Love it to bits. It's remarkably difficult to find online. If you want, I would love people to go and give it a listen. Remarkably difficult to find online. So best of luck, everybody.
Where was that originally? Because I love that song. I'm a big Wings fan, but I don't remember ever hearing that before. That wasn't on an album.
It's on a live album. The album is called Frequency Tour CD.
Okay.
And it's a double disc live album, and it's on the second disc, I think.
That's when Andy was still with them, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And it's just it's really strong. It's really good. I mean, you know exactly what song it is, but they IQ it, for want of a better term and phrase, and I really like it. And it's one of these things I thought if you hadn't heard it, Peter, I know you would like to because you love both bands.
Yeah.
So I did have a hunt around and see if I could find it. I'm not on all the streaming services, so it is maybe quite easy, but on like say YouTube and various things, that doesn't seem to be there. So I should have dug the CD out to show you, but I will at some point.
Okay, cool. And yeah, I do apologize, everybody. I thought we went all the way through, but that is because I have this whole stack of CDs sitting here that I thought I ran through, but I only put them over there because people stole my picks. So, and of course I got the old, so you know how it goes. So yeah. Anyway, now we're on our third picks. All right. So George, what do you got?
My number 2 is from the cover I didn't know I needed as badly as I did, from a German quintet, Panzer Ballet.
Ooh.
They did Danny Elfman cover, the theme from The Simpsons, metalized it, crunched it up, put all these crazy runs in it. And it's like, if you don't, you got to hear it to believe it. It's like,
I need to hear that.
yeah, it's super
You're gonna
cool.
love it.
My number 1 is from sensory recording artist Spiral Architect. They did a cover of Fate's Warning's Prelude to Ruin for a Fate's Warning tribute album, and then it turned up on the Japanese release of their album also. Again, they didn't let it sit. They introduced a blast beat part into it. The bass is crazy on it, of course. It's another one you got to hear. If you like the original at all, you have to hear it. Completely great.
It's a killer song as it is. I have to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a solar flare. All right, back to Lewis. You're on mute.
Over 3.
I have a perfect undefeated stupidity score tonight, and
I think it's running rampant across this entire show today. Holy smokes. Man.
I am gonna go with, of course, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Pictures at an Exhibition, which is almost Gorski music. Fantastic stuff. This is great. And there is a song that I think is eminently, it's one of the best songs that he wrote, but for whatever reason, I don't think that he played it as well as other people. I mean, King Kong by Frank Zappa. And there are some choices. You could go with Jean-Luc Ponty's version. I'm not going to do that because everybody has that. Instead, I'm going to go with Niacin's version from Organic.
Yeah.
Their version of King Kong in this record kicks all kinds of ass with Dennis Chambers and Billy Sheehan on bass. Dynamite. So those are my next 2.
Cool.
I'm gonna kill you.
What I do? What I do?
My number 1.
I left.
Yeah, I had a feeling that was going to be up there for you, Ken.
I had a whole thing going on here for 15 minutes. I was going to be talking about.
Thank you, Luis.
Never let him sit that long. That's what I've learned in doing these shows.
Ah, yeah.
I feel good. I gotta go now.
What I know about this record, you guys will never know. All right.
What do you got, Ken?
Oh, it's me. Okay, so I'm a little confused. So I'm giving you 2 more, and then we're doing honorable mentions.
Yep.
Okay.
I know.
So since he stole my thunder, I'm gonna go to one of my alternate picks here. Miles Davis, Time After Time. He covered Cyndi Lauper's Time After Time.
Yep.
And he did that was towards the end of Miles's career. And he was running on fumes, more or less, but every once in a while he'd be inspired. And Time After Time, I think he did.
He did a beautiful version of that.
Yeah, it's really, really beautiful. I got to see him do it at the Pier. That's my little Rand Kelly thing there. I got to see. I'll tell you about. I'll take you a trip down memory lane. And from my Bizarro World pick, Saxon, The Court of the Crimson King.
Yeah, love that version.
They did a great version of The Court of the Crimson King. So that's again sounds like Iron Maiden. It clearly sounds like Saxon, but it also sounds like King Crimson. You recognize the song, but it's Saxon. So
yeah, I've heard them play that live, Ken, and it's Saxon, as myself and Peter will discuss on the UK Connection, have 23 studio albums. So when you go see them live, you don't need to hear them play any cover versions.
Yeah.
And they played that. Oh, I needed to hear that live. It was fantastic.
I bet. No, I bet. So it was very good. So I gotta go take a Xanax now after that. To the next edition. Kill me.
Oh,
All right.
All right, I got more for the honorable mention. So when you're ready,
Yeah, we all do. Yeah. Well, I don't have too many left, but yeah, that's okay. Chuck, what do you got?
all right. Well, my last two in this third round. First one, I'm surprised no one mentioned this one. Serenade to a Cuckoo, Sean Roland Kirk, which Jethro Tull covered that song on their first album, did a faithful, nice version of it. And then how could we forget Roll Over Beethoven by by Electric Light Orchestra.
That's right. Yep.
So those are my two right there, my last two picks over here. Although I still have a few more here that can honorable mention.
Cool. All right, we got some good ones today. All right, Chad, back to you.
Okay, my next one is from the After the Storm Katrina benefit CD, which is a collection of two CDs full of bands. All the money was donated to Habitat for Humanity after Hurricane Katrina. And it's Mike Keneally's version of Timetable, Genesis Timetable. He does a real nice version of it. The choruses get a little chunky, but not too heavy, but very cool. And then all of a sudden, for the last 2 or 3 minutes of the song, he decides to go into Apocalypse and 9/8. Why not? And it's awesome. It's very, very cool. So you get to hear this version. It was supposed to go on a Purple Pyramid Genesis tribute album, and it didn't make the cut. So when we were putting this album together, I tracked it down, and everybody was all for putting it on here, and well worth it. It's a really cool version.
Timetable is such an underrated song, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a nice one. If you've never heard it, it's very good. And my last on the proper list is Synergy, Classical Gas. I've always loved the version that Larry Fast did with all the layers of synths. And the original version's on chords. Just a really great version of a very classical standard that everybody knows, but really done in a very cool way. So Classical Gas, Synergy.
Nice. Eric.
Right. I'm going to go out with 2 guitar players, and I'm going to admit that I've never heard the original versions of either of these cover songs. So there you go. David Gilmour, There's No Way Out of Here. And apparently the original was Ken Baker. The band was Unicorn. Never heard it. And I love the David Gilmour version, so I can't tell you how different it is or anything else, but always love a David Gilmour tune. And Jeff Beck, because we've ended as lovers.
Yeah.
Stevie Wonder tune. And Jeff Beck's just one of my favorite players all the way around, but I've never heard that original version either. So
Eric, David Gilmour produced the Unicorn album.
well, there you go.
Yep.
If I remember correctly, I think the Unicorn band they're kind of like a country rock band, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
West Coast type of thing, right, Anthony? Right?
Yeah.
Which strange that Gilmour would be producing a band like that.
Very.
Cool. All right, Anthony, what do you got?
Okay, I've got, let me see here. I'm taking Ken's cue, and I got one from Bizarro World. I'm going with Dokken off Dysfunctional, last track on the record from the beginning by ELP. It is what it is. Don still has his voice, so it's a pretty cool version. Odd that they would ever pick an ELP tune, but so that's my one from Bizarro World. And then my second one's going to be Pete's favorite band, Blackmore's Night, doing Renaissance Ocean Gypsy. And it's, Candace does a fantastic job covering Annie. I think it's perfect. So I'm doing Blackmore's Night and from Bizarro World, Dokken.
Yeah, that is a
Aren't
good
you proud of me, Ken?
Oh yeah, that was great. You guys ever see Richie do the Blackmore's Lament? You ever see them live?
No, but I've seen Dokken.
I'm sorry. I got dragged to see Blackmore's Night what a strange crowd that was.
Yeah, they dress in garb and everything.
Oh yeah, they were going like everybody was going to the Renaissance Fair.
Oh my God.
And it was really, I gotta tell you, it was really annoying because everybody wanted Richie to play Deep Purple songs. Everybody wanted Richie to play electric, and the thing is he would tease everybody. Like he'd start to play like a riff from something, and then he just wouldn't play the song. And it's just like pissing everybody off all
He
night.
did it on purpose, I'm sure.
Yeah, he was just like, he was just fucking with everybody. It was just really annoying.
That's what he does.
That was a weird show, I gotta say.
What a career to make a living with music that requires you to dress like a minstrel and put away your electric. But on the other hand, you do have Candace Knight.
She was an intern at WLIR, and he was up there doing an
He moved up the ladder fast.
And he met her there.
Yeah.
She was half
That's
his
an
age.
interesting comment from a big.
He's much happier since he's been with her. So,
Do we know that for sure?
well, he
Really not.
interacts with both times I've seen him. He actually interacts with the audience.
Yeah.
He's older and wiser. I guess.
Yeah. When I saw him, I'll tell you how he interacted with the audience. He played about 3 nanoseconds of Soldier of Fortune. That's how he interacted with the audience.
All right, where are we? John, what do you got?
Okay, I'm gonna go with Manfred Mann, and it's from the Solar Fire album. It's gonna be Father of Day, Father of Night, the Dylan cover.
That's right.
And I think that's, and he does it's so atmospheric. He does such a nice job of that. The vocals are, I forget who the lead singer is. It's not Chris Thompson. I forget the lead singer. Does a great job. And then I guess it shouldn't be surprising that on the next album, Nightingales and Bombers, he covers Springsteen's Spirits in the Night album from Springsteen's debut album. And I think, and Chris Thompson is the lead vocalist in this one, and it's just another great song. And then, he made a living of covering these tunes, and he really changes it. He doesn't really change it up drastically, but he makes them his own. And kind of interesting when you hear those original, like Dylan and Springsteen tunes and others. They just, he just transforms. And, it's like a folk song or whatever, and he turns it into this prog song, and he doesn't bastardize it by any means. Good job. So those are my two.
Yeah, they're both really good. Yeah,
Yeah.
Their version of Spirits in the Night is quite good.
I love, that's one of my favorite albums of all time. I have to go with Malcolm.
Cool. All right, honorable mention time. Back to Stephen. I want to rattle off a bunch. What have you got left?
Okay, so what have I got that's not been taken? Not a huge amount. I've got Stephen Wilson covering In Floral Green, which is a Lonely Robot song.
Mhm.
That was the B-sides from the recent work that he did. It was nice to see him covering something quite recent and doing it really well, I have to say. I like Fish's version of Question by the Moody Blues. I'm not a massive fan of his covers album, but that's the one that's always stuck out to me. Stephen Wilson again doing Space Oddity by David Bowie. Very faithful, but it's very good. Muse covering the song Prague by the kind of UK indie band Mega City 4. It's a kind of bizarre B-side, but it's a great song and they just make it their own. And I'll just throw some strange ones in there as well. Marillion do a bizarre live version of Toxic by Britney Spears. And they play quite often on and off. It works and it doesn't. And I quite like Peter Gabriel doing Neil Young's Philadelphia. Does it work? It does for me. A lot of people are not so keen on that. So that'll do for me.
George, you got any left?
Just a couple. I would say Royally Legren doing Jackrabbit from Herbie Hancock. That's a great tune. And actually, Tetsuo Sakurai, Japanese bass player, he does "Are You Ready" from Grand Funk Railroad.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a weird cover. It's pretty kind of faithful, but a little spicier. That's really cool.
It's a
I
great
like
song.
Dream Theater doing Paradox from Kansas. That was a good one. But yeah, that's all I got.
Okay, cool. Lewis.
Can I just say one thing?
Because
George
I have
never
to.
disappoints.
No,
George
George never disappoints. This is
He
true.
never disappoints.
I have a few. I have and Chad will remember, and people who went to Nearfest will remember Alamalman Vasarat,
Yeah.
the Hammers of the Underworld.
Yeah.
There's a sort of a related Finnish band called Hoiri Koni. And I saw them play live at Orion Studios, and they made an insanely brilliant version of Iron Maiden's The Trooper, where one of the guitar solos is taken by the trombone player, and the other is taken by the sax player. It is. I'm sure there must be a recording somewhere, but that is one of the best covers I've ever heard in my life, and it was incredible. Hoiri Koni doing Iron Maiden The Trooper.
Nice.
Also, I saw this done live. I saw Stickmen playing Sleep is Wrong by Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum.
Nice.
And for people who don't know who Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum is, well, all I can say again is get on it. These guys were an amazing band who toured the United States relentlessly for years until they broke up because they needed to do other things. But their version that's on their debut album, Grand Opening and Closing, is the opening track. Sleep is Wrong is a very angular, very, very, very unique song. And Tony Levin loves it. And he decided to try it as a 3-piece with Stickmen, and they do a good job with Pat and Marcus Reuter. So those two for sure. And the other one that hasn't been mentioned yet, but I think we should mention, is Iron Maiden's version of Cross-Eyed Mary.
Oh yeah. Yep.
That is also a pretty good cover that sounds like Maiden, but it's obviously the Tull that we all know, right? So those are.
I remember too, when they first released that, I really wasn't into Tull at the time. And I remember thinking, what a great song this is. Why isn't this included on any of their albums? And then, not long afterwards, like, oh, that's a cover of a Jethro Tull classic. I'm like, oh, okay. Because Maiden were great at doing these singles and B-sides and all these, special things.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice. Ken.
All right, I got a lot. I'll run through them real quick. I got The Nice, another one from The Nice, doing Rondo, which is Dave Brubeck's Rondo a la Turk, Blue Rondo a la Turk. Peter Gabriel doing Strawberry Fields from All This in World War II, kind of an obscure album. Deep Purple doing Hush. Dream Theater, they did a lot. They did their Yitzy Jam series, Dark Side. They covered Dark Side of the Moon. They did Master of Puppets, which just got reissued. They did Number of the Beast, that's coming out, and they had others. I know that they had a lot of covers that'll probably be coming out. The British band Beggars Opera, they did a pretty cool cover of MacArthur Park.
Yes.
And in the bizarro world, going back to Yngwie Malmsteen's Inspiration album, he did a really nice version of Carry On Wayward Son. Gary Hoey doing Hocus Pocus. That was pretty good. I think he even got a lot of radio airplay with that. Disturbed did a really nice version of a shitty Genesis song, Land of Confusion.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that was really cool. And then apparently, I haven't heard this, but Rage did a cover of Tom Sawyer.
Yes.
So that's what I got.
Cool. Chuck.
Luis, I'm charging you double on shipping with your next order.
Oh, okay. I have just 3 more. Ken just killed me with the Strawberry Field. Okay. All right. Well, one is
I found out where it's coming from.
Okay. All right. Squonk, Spock's Beard covered Genesis' Squonk. Gable's version of David Bowie's Heroes. And the last one is also another Genesis song done by Ekelin, When the Sweet Turns to Sour. All right, those are my three. Mhm.
Yeah, Lewis, our little Martian's coming from you for whatever reason. Your microphone is doing some weird feedback thingies.
Stay muted. It's okay.
That's better.
Is this better?
So far, yeah, you sound great. Well, there it is. It's when you're not talking, we're coming through yours, like as a bounce back. It's weird.
It's feeding through.
Yeah. Cool. All right, Chuck. You got any more, Chuck?
Those are my last three.
That's it. Okay.
Mhm.
All right, Chad.
Okay, I got a quick list too. So let me start with Niacin. There's two on here. Red by King Crimson and Blue Wind by Jeff Beck. Two great versions. We never mentioned Hoedown, ELP.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The Dixie Dregs do a great live version of Kashmir from their Bring 'Em Back Alive album. It's very short, 3.5 minutes, but it smokes. Robert Berry, you know, he shows up on all the tribute albums, but his version of Genesis Watcher of the Skies and Yes Roundabout, I think are pretty unique arrangements, pretty cool versions. From the very first Yes album, Every Little Thing by the Beatles. I always thought that was a pretty great cover. Speaking of Tom Sawyer, I don't know if anybody's ever heard of a band called Death Organ. Real heavy organ based, and they do a really cool instrumental version of Tom Sawyer. It's the only reason I kept the album.
That was Per Wiberg's band before he was in Opeth.
Oh yeah? All right, now I'm really glad I kept it. Mike Keneally on his Half Alive in Hollywood double disc does a really killer version of The Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin. The Second Star One album has a cover of ELP's Knife Edge, which is pretty heavy. The vocals aren't as smooth as the original, but instrumentally it's very cool and very heavy. Another Ekelin one to mention is One Brown Mouse that was on the Jethro Tull covers album. It actually was just the Always Almost band. Chris and Tom were not there. It was just Brett, Ray, and Paul, but they called themselves Ekelin on that for marketing reasons, I'm sure. I'm sure that's what Magna Carta had them do. And then lastly, the Japanese trio Gerard has an album that's all covers, and they do 21st Century Schizoid Man, Danger Money, Knife Edge, Alaska and Time to Kill, and Lark's Tongues Part 2. And they're pretty smoking versions. So there's a quick list of some honorable mentions.
Cool. Eric.
Mine is quick. I also had the Ekelin version, still version, whatever, of One Brown Mouse. I love violin. I love Frank Zappa. So Jean-Luc Ponty does the music, Frank Zappa, King Kong. And this band, Transatlantic, has a ton of covers on their releases. They do a great job on a lot of them. They do some pop stuff and some prog covers, and they really do a good job with those.
Are you channeling Rick?
Well, my one Transatlantic thing? Come on, give me a break.
Anthony, you got any others?
Yeah, I got one. Pete, you were saying about Kansas having a cover on the first self-titled album. They do "Bringing It Back," which is a John Cale tune, and Robbie Steinhardt just slays on that track.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So that's my one honorable mention.
Cool. I forgot about that one. Yep. John, you got any left?
Not really. Just a couple of my picks that were going to be honorable mentions were already mentioned. So, Found for a Common Man was one, and America, I guess, was the other. So
Okay.
that's all I got.
Pete, we should do a show ranking the ELP classical covers. Just like we didn't mention Toccata.
True.
Romeo and
And then-
Juliet.
The Barbarian was Bartok piece. Knife Edge was Janacek.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
was
mean,
surprised
yeah, I
to
mean, we mentioned Hoedown, but I mean, there's just so many.
So
And
many.
we could probably do a ranking, the ELP classical.
Yeah, this, I forget how many there are, right? It's quite a few.
Yeah, just about every album there's something.
Yeah.
Or just classical, Ken. There's a lot of classical. I mean, right, Crimson does Mars. There's a
Yeah,
bunch of guitar stuff. So
Yeah, the Devil's Triangle, right? In the Devil's Triangle, right?
All right, so let's see. I don't have much left because a lot of it's mentioned. I do. There's a couple Dream Theaters we didn't mention from these various albums. So here, there's all sorts of good ones from here. They do Rainbow Stargazer, which is really good. They do a Queen medley, Tenement Funster, Flick of the Wrist, and Lily of the Valley, which is quite good. And Odyssey by the Dregs, which is pretty neat. They also on this, I don't think we mentioned the Rover by Zeppelin, which is quite good. Return the Giant Hogweed from Transatlantic. And last but not least, how about Golden Earrings 8 Miles High by the Byrds, which if you haven't heard, it's like
Nice.
20 something minutes long or whatever. It's quite good. Lots of guitar soloing and jamming going on. It's actually a lot of fun. So there you have. Oh, one thing I do want to mention, because I know I like Ken's idea, was pretty cool doing this Bizarro World stuff. I don't know if you guys have ever heard a Government Mule doing various Pink Floyd songs and albums, as well as some Mahavishnu stuff from time to time, which is really, really cool. So, and I love Government Mule. They do great covers. They've done War Pigs and various different cool
Great band.
Yeah.
You hear that?
Primus did the whole Animals album.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think, I don't think it was Primus, it was Les Claypool and his
Les Claypool.
Prog Brigade.
I watched a clip of Government Mule doing Starship Trooper, and they
Awesome.
throw a little bit of Gates of Delirium in there.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Warren.
Has
Haynes
anyone
is pretty-
seen Primus? They're 2112. They're doing that on tour, right? I think.
They're doing a Farewell to Kings.
Farewell to Kings,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, sorry, Farewell to Kings. That's
Yeah, I
right.
saw them in Philly.
Actually, Claypool Lennon do a killer version of In the Court of the Crimson King. Killer version.
A lot of Les Claypool stuff going around these days, right?
The Primus show was good, but Les has no business singing a couple of those, like Close to the Heart and Madrigal. Oh boy, turn the mic off.
Oh yeah, I could imagine.
So there you have it, everybody. Cover songs by prog bands. A lot of them were named today. I'm sure there's some we missed. So if there's any you haven't heard, put them down in the comments below. We'll make sure we get everybody's picks down below so you guys can go and listen to these, check them out. There's some really obscure stuff, some more well-known stuff. So we'll put all those lists down below. Thanks everybody for watching. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube all together.
All the damn
all the
Time.
All the damn time.
That's right, Anthony. And I promise Anthony will be back with the yellow hoodie in weeks to come. So stay tuned for that. He's not going to do it now purposefully now, right?
We'll all wear it, and he won't.
Yes, there you go. Well, it's become
Richie
like
Blackmore.
the uniform of In the Prog Seat, right? You know, so there you have it. So stay tuned. What do we got? So today is Tuesday. Stay tuned tomorrow for some new album reviews. Thursday, the Monsters Den. Friday morning, the Fun House with Martin Popoff and myself. We've got the UK Connection with myself, Stephen Reed, and Simon Bray, talking about our favorite and least favorite Saxon albums. That's coming up on Saturday. And then Sunday, we've got album homework assignment between Jim Bakke and Guitar Hack. So that's coming up on Sunday. And then we start the week all over again with the Hudson Valley Squares on Monday and back here next Tuesday. So for John Newdorf and Chad Hutchinson and Eric
Thanks, everyone.
Porter, Anthony Ferraro, Chuck Alvarez, Ken Golden, Louis Nasser, Stephen Reed, and George Lemay, I am Pete Pardo. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining
night.
us on this
Good
show
night.
all about cover songs. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Thanks, Pete.
Thank-
Take care.
damn.